Right now, we'd like to bring on a young man who believes in doing things his own way. Based on the way he kind of get next to all of the folks who've seen him work, his way has got to be pretty hip. So let's lay some noise.
Listen on me, boy.
2000 and
To fight for
beyond.
this so-called democracy. But when I get back down...
Yo, welcome back, fellow Bucks fans. It is I, Robert Green, back at it with another one. Coming off a loss, Monday Night Football, another primetime loss. It's ugly. It's ugly. Even at 7-4, our Tampa Bay Buccaneers falling short of expectations already. The sky's not falling. The season's not over with. A lot of good things can still happen. But right now at 7-4, the Bucks out of pretty much out of right now with the loss to the Los Angeles Rams on Monday Night Football, are just about out of contention of the NFC South. A whole lot of bad things have to happen to New Orleans in order for us to take the NFC South, which was one of the big goals for us coming into the season, having all the acquired talent that came in the offseason and the talent that left. So we're left here now trying to piece together and hope for the best instead of actually working towards the best, which we kind of wanted to do. This is it's a little bit disappointing. But right now what we're going to do is go and take a look at, not recap, but just kind of take a look at some of the things that happened and that's coming out of the Monday Night Football game. Joining me once again, my homeboy out of Memphis, Tennessee, fellow Bucks fan. They call him Big Slim. Big Slim, tell me something good, man.
Yeah, what's up, man? I'm all right. I'm holding together, man. Like you say, a crazy game indeed, but yeah, we're here to talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So right off the top, like always, or at least the way it's been going with me for the season, and it started in the offseason, it was coaching. Coaching, game planning, play calling, all of that stuff. And I have to look right at the top when it comes to the coaching, and I look at the head coach and Bruce Arians. We were talking a little bit offline before we got going here about some of these issues that we had with Bruce Arians, once again, that showed up big time in a loss. And I don't want anybody to get it confused because I've talked about some of the things with him big time during a win. And once again, we see our Tampa Bay Buccaneers get out-coached, out-game planned, outwitted. It's crazy. Like, it's absolutely insane. And you listen to our head coach, he speaks as if he has so much time left in order to get things right. It's week 11. We're going into week 12. And we still don't have any identity on the offense, which is what he came here for. He came to, his expertise allegedly was on the offensive side of the ball. Last night, again, like clockwork, the offense just disappeared. What was from the offensive side and specific and trying to stay on track with the coaching side of it? What was the most curious thing that was happening with the team from a coaching standpoint side for you? Was that something that just stood out to you?
You talking about regarding the game?
Yeah, just regarding the game. Was there anything that stood out from the coaching side, from the strategy side, right off the top? I mean, was there anything that you just went to bed, like the last time you and I talked, we were talking about one other game. We were like, yo, like we can't believe he went for, a fourth and he didn't go for a fourth and inches, and decided to kick a field goal. Was there anything that was that egregious, that crazy from this game?
I think just overall, it was just I mean, it's kind of beating a dead horse with a stick at this point. It's just regarding the play calling. Like when you come into games like this and these primetime games, you're going against a good team that you will, if you make it to the playoffs, you'll see them later in the playoffs. That you lack any ingenuity in the scheme, in the play calling. It's dry. It's predictable. Like even for the casual fan now that partner watch a handful of games, you can come out and basically predict what they'll run on first down and what they'll run on second down. It's getting numb to the fact that okay, it's nothing special. It's like what I called it last night. It's a three page playbook. Either you're gonna run it up the middle, you're gonna have a play action, or you're gonna throw it over the top. That's it. There's no ingenuity, and Sean McVay once again showed us that this is what the league is going as far as the younger minds and younger generation of the NFL coaching. That you have to mix it up. You have to get your skill players involved. It's not all about throwing deep. You only take what the defense gives you. But just from what I saw from the offensive point of the game, it just the lack of creativity and the carousel and the head scratching type of rotation with the running backs. It's kind of getting to the point now where they say that if you play two quarterbacks, you have none. Well, we're playing two running backs like we don't have a number one running back, but yet we walk into this game with third leading rusher in the NFL, but we still treat him like he's unproven or at least able to carry the load.
Right, like he's still auditioning, and like I said this to someone earlier via social media. I believe it was on Twitter. It's almost like a collegiate program where you got so many talented players that you be like, okay, well, if you're not perfect, guess what? I got somebody else to come in and do what you can't. That's how it feels with Ronald Jones and Fournette. And I'm just like you. I had that exact same question mark all night. Like, why did we not ride the hot hand in Ronald Jones? And there's nothing against Fournette because I loved Fournette. I mean, there's social media posts that I have going back 2 or 3 years talking about how much of a phenom I think he is, or think he could be in the NFL. Some of that is kind of fallen off and not been the case. However, I don't think that the Bucs should have been taking Ronald Jones, who just came off a career game, basically take him out of the game plan. Once again, out of the game plan. And I'm not even going into play calling just yet. Just a game plan. Like, how do you not utilize that guy?
It don't make any sense because, like, I can understand if he was going out, fumbling the ball, turning it over. You're like, all right, we're gonna, go with Fournette here, but I can't think of anything Rojo did in that game while he was in there that caused him to be on the bench for the rest of the game. And for a guy that just ran for 200 yards last season, whether you want to say, well, one of the runs was a 98-yard run, that's rare in itself, and that shows how hard it can be pulled off. He still pulled it off. And we've been, beating on the drum about this ever since last season. If you just give him a chance, he's usually always one tackle away from breaking big anyway. So I think he's growing and maturing to the back he's becoming now. But so it's kind of hard to, not have him in the game plan, not really, not necessarily force feed him, but just really give him a healthy dose of carries, regardless of how the game is going. We was never down, a big amount to just kind of get away from the run. It wasn't a situation in the game where we just felt like we couldn't run the ball. And when you got a guy like Rojo that have proven every time you needed him to be the bell cow or the number one running back, or you need this play out of him, he'll give you his best. It makes us one-dimensional, and when we become one-dimensional, that means bad things for the offense, because all the defense do is pin their ears back and come at Brady, and bad things happen. So it's head scratching to understand why. Once again, Rojo come off a career game, but yet he's used little to none in this game. Like, I don't think he was hurt. I don't see what we were saving him for. Like, why, he wasn't in the game, but why we didn't utilize him any more than what we did, for this game. So I just don't understand. You like you say, it's kind of like one of those big programs that got 3, 4, 5-star running backs. You know, they have a 2, 3, 5-star running backs in the backfield, and they trying to get them all involved each and every game. But it's just weird to me. I don't understand why Rojo, and I think if we had more of a running game, regardless of the fact if he ran for 100 yards or not, 8 carries is not going to cut it.
Yes. So yeah, and on the night he did get 10 carries. He got somehow. I swear to you, I don't remember anything after that screen pass that dropped. I don't even remember how many. I actually don't remember his runs at all. I know he got hit behind the line or at the line that lost a yard on a play or two, but he did end up with 10 carries. Leonard Fournette ended up with 7 carries. Again, going back to Rojo, 24 yards on his 10 carries, 17 yards on Leonard Fournette's, and they both had a long of 6 yards, But then again, like you said, it made the team one-dimensional on the offensive side of the ball. And we look back, and again, there's really no reason to not have Ronald Jones, not just as your starter, but as the guy to kind of get the running game going, to get the offense going. If we're being for real, getting the offense going. Ronald Jones, third leading rusher in the NFL with 754 yards. Dude is a killer if you just give him a chance. And like you said, we've been preaching this, or at least trying to preach this, since last year. And, eventually in week 9, I believe it was, he actually took over the starting spot. But it doesn't make sense to not game plan this man. It doesn't make sense. Leonard Fournette averages 4 yards a carry. Ronald Jones averages 5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
And he's one of the leading players. I think he's top 3 in yards after contact.
Right.
This dude has been nothing but good when he had opportunities. And then that also spans over to the notion, I say narrative a lot, but it's a notion that he cannot catch the football as a passer. That's absolutely false. Much like the running game, if you give that man opportunities in the passing game and you just continue to give him opportunities in the passing game, he makes things happen. This man can catch the ball and break it just the same way he can when he does on a handoff. You've seen it. It's been that since last season if you paid attention. But the confirmation bias that goes all the way back to draft time a couple years ago when he did get drafted, the notion was he did not make a living. He did not make a reputation of catching the ball out of the backfield at USC. The deal was the offense at USC didn't utilize a running back that was catching the ball out the backfield much, if at all. So anytime that Ronald Jones does anything imperfectly in the pass game, if he drops a pass that touches his hands, it's confirmation bias and people lose their damn mind. Like, oh man, see, and then the same shit, if you pay attention, again, look at Leonard Fournette. Same shit. Leonard Fournette can catch. Leonard Fournette dropped, I think, 1 pass. I think it may have been 2. But 2 of those passes that he dropped, much like with Ronald Jones, end up getting a couple passes credited to him or charged to him as a drop. The ball were bad passes. But nobody wants to, I say nobody, people absolutely just don't want to hear that. They don't. They want this shit to be run like a video game where these guys, if the ball touches their hand or if it goes in their direction, it absolutely must be a catch. Sometimes it's not. It's a bad catch. It's a bad pass sometimes. Bad things happen, but don't stop going at them. Don't stop going at them. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. And like I say, I think a lot of it's kind of an ego thing. Like, it's kind of like, he dropped 1 pass, all right, you come out and don't come back in. And that's ridiculous. They all pros for a reason. You know what I mean? And like I say, you can't expect somebody to just come off the bench cold and just be ready to go. Even though you are in the NFL and whatever, but I just think a lot of this stuff, you kind of treat them like a child. Like, oh, you messed up, go in your room, don't come out.
Right.
Like, just get, if Rojo has been, kind of known to have this confidence thing, then the worst thing you can do is reprimand him for those things. Like, keep it going. As you can see in the Panther game when he turned the ball over, lo and behold, you stick with him. Look what he gave. And that was an opportunity where we kind of felt like, oh yeah, BA's going to take him out the game. He won't see the field no more this game. But surprisingly, like I say, lo and behold, BA keeps him in, and he gives you almost 200 yards that game. So it's kind of the same philosophy. But like I say, in this game, he didn't give you none of it. Like, and even in the screen pass, BA comes out and say, well, it wasn't a drop. The screen kind of came out early, so it really wasn't a Rojo. Okay, then if that's the case, then even more is more. But that's even more of an indictment to say, okay,
right.
Then what the hell was going on? Like, why wasn't he in the game if he's a much better runner, and he's obviously more elusive than Fournette. Like, you bring Fournette in for the fourth quarter type of, bruising type runs, but I think a lot of the lack of using Rojo hurt the offense and kind of moved the ball. And trying to throw deep so much when we didn't have any type of methodical type of way of moving the ball up the field, as opposed to the Rams, they use a lot of short passes and they got a lot of yak behind it, but they wasn't taking big chunk plays. They was using methodical type of schemes to get running backs out the backfield, bubble screens, stuff like that. And we was a total reverse.
Yeah.
So even if they couldn't run the ball, even if the Rams couldn't run the ball, they still did short plays, kind of an extension of the run. We didn't do that at all. So it was a bad game plan, and it really just, like I say, the quicksand effect. The harder we try, the quicker we fail, the quicker we sunk.
And again, and this is all tied into game plan, which is the responsibility of the head coach.
Yeah,
we understand that. We understand that there's a grievance against Byron Leftwich and play calling and so forth, and that those are valid. Those are valid criticisms, and it's a valid reason to be questionable of him and his ability, going off of what we've seen so far. But more than that, it is the actual direction in which this team on offense is going, or where they even want to be. What does it want to go, and what does it want to be? Like, nobody. It's week 11. Like, this is the 11th game of the season in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with all this damn talent, all these moves that are made to win now. Everything that's going on in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 7-4, and the offense has no identity. None. Absolutely none.
No, man. It's like having a sports car that keep running hot. You only can enjoy it for a little minute. You better get what you can out of it, but you're gonna be on the side of the road. That's how our offense is.
Serious business.
Look good. It look good, sound good. You might have a thrill a short time, but it's gonna run hot on you, and you ain't gonna really be able to do much. You're gonna be dragging and slugging up and down the field, and that's how it is, man. Like I say, all last night I was sitting here like, okay, what's up, Rojo? Why we ain't run the ball? Run the ball. Like, it seemed like we let him. It seemed like he get one attempt per drive. Like, we give it to him on first down, and unless he break a 20-yard run, he ain't getting it back. And then we just start throwing until we get the ball the next drive, and then we give it to him again on first down. Okay, here you go. All right, we back to passing. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't understand.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
I don't think many people understand. And I mean, there are some people who want to defend Bruce Arians. There are some people who no matter what are always, right now it's not on Bruce Arians for a lot of people. Again, it's going straight to Byron Leftwich. It's going straight to Byron Leftwich. And I don't think that's necessarily fair. He absolutely deserves criticism. He needs to be looked at sideways, because no matter who you are, if your job is to do a certain thing, no matter what it is, and you are past week in and week out. And I'll go ahead and play that right now, man. This is his response to the question about continuity and playing with some new faces and everything going back to the beginning of the season and into right now. This is Bruce Arians.
The game plan. So I don't think it's a confidence problem whatsoever. It's just still it's not lack of trust. It's just lack of continuity within the offense of the whole picture.
That was Bruce Arians on whether or not his quarterback had a lack of confidence. And his response was it's a lack of continuity. I'll play that one more damn time. Again, the question was, with Tom Brady's playing the way that he's been playing and missing on a lot of these passes and these deep throws that he's been missing on, like, is that a confidence issue? And again, this is Bruce Arians with his response.
From the game plan. So I don't think it's a confidence problem whatsoever. It's just still it's not lack of trust. It's just lack of continuity within the offense of the whole picture.
Now, he said that like we don't know that he came out and said that it was his decision to bring in Antonio Brown. He said that like we don't know that he don't have like we don't know he has some influence on whether or not Scotty Miller or Tyler Johnson gets in a game. What the hell is this man on? He ain't taking no responsibility. None.
It's like I say, that's one of the things that kind of piss me off, especially after games like this, where it's like he's just deflecting any type of responsibility, accountability. Like, he's just there for the ride. Like, he's not one of the guys that make any of the executive decisions. He has no answer for things that go wrong. He just acts shocked like he's a fan at home watching the game. Like, you are in the building. You really are responsible for whatever goes out on the field every Sunday, Monday, or Thursday night. So it's for a guy that gives those kind of vague, open-ended answers. It just kind of shows, like, okay, like, how much skin in the game do you really have? Like, what's going on? It's a lack of leadership. Like, it kind of, for me, it confuses me on, okay, who is really calling the shots in their building? You know what I mean? Like, what, like, for you to give these answers and say, oh, it's not a confidence thing, it's a continuity thing, and it's all these things. It's like it's becoming a circus. You know what I mean? Like, it's becoming a circus. It's like you, like, a person that doesn't have control of the team, or a person that doesn't want to accept responsibility when things doesn't go right or things isn't going right. Like you say, it's week 11. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the continuity thing needs to be out the window. Like, it's week 11. Like,
long out the window. Right?
The continuity thing is out the window because you got rookie quarterbacks that have came in under the same circumstances, new team, new everything, new system, and actually been in the NFL for the first time. You know, with Tom Brady, he's been in the league 20 years. Like, you might have some unfamiliarity with certain things, but come on, it's week 11. By this time, you what, 5 weeks away from the end of the season. At some point, you should have been turned the corner on, the issue. They could play a little more, play a little more aggressive because they're not worried about getting scored on because they feel like the offense can come back out and score again. But when you got an offense that just basically sputter all game long and can't hit on all cylinders, and they're worried about getting scored on because they don't have faith in the offense coming out scoring or driving the ball or being able to just at least, like, control the ball, turn possession, do anything, I think that affects the defense as well. So I think it's kind of twofold what the defense does. I think the defense adjusts for whatever team they playing somewhat, but they also have to adjust based on what the offense is doing as well. And it's sad, man. Like I say, every game you can expect the defense to do whatever. And trust me, the defense isn't perfect, because it's not like they playing the Panthers, or they playing, a bottom of the barrel team every week. They playing good teams, i.e. the Chargers. I mean, not the Chargers, but the Rams. So, they're going to get scored on. The opposing offense is going to do things to kind of mix it up and make it kind of hard for the defense. But I think a lot of it has to go into, they definitely have to keep in mind that, okay, well, we really can't do all this because of the offense is not playing good. You know what I mean? That's how I feel.
Right, and that's reflective again on the score. Like, they can't get super loose, they can't get creative or do a whole lot of things partially because of this score, as well as what they're dealing with on the actual roster. We had the most important piece of our defense, Vita Vea, when he went down. I said it long ago. I said it back in April when we were talking about the draft, when people told me I shouldn't be talking about what happens or what could possibly happen if an injury occurred. Yeah, you can. And that's exactly why you draft smart. That's why you draft in a certain way where you're not one player away from having your entire unit on either side of the ball look so completely different. And I'm never letting off of that. Like, that shit is true. You can absolutely can plan for your future. You absolutely can plan to make sure that you can have two dominant players when possible on the field at the same damn time. And the Bucs were in position to do that. But to your point, again, when Vita Vea left due to injury, everything changed for the defense. And the defense is still good enough to win. The defense is still solid. And we shouldn't have won. Yeah. We shouldn't have lost 3 out of the 4 games we've lost. Shouldn't have.
Absolutely.
Should not have.
Fact.
But when you take Vita Vea off the field, you don't have the ability or you don't have the leniency to now run man-to-man and run press coverage all the damn time. Why? Because Vita Vea had 4 hands on him damn near every other snap. If not, for most teams had to have 2 folks on Vita Vea, which left Levante David and Devin White to come free if and when they needed to or when they wanted to. So you can press with Carlton Davis, who's a good man coverage guy. You could press Jamel Dean, who was still, working on himself. Same thing with Sean Murphy-Bunny.
Yeah.
So you can do those kind of things, but when you take him off the field, guess what? You're going to have to drop back and play zone. You have to mix up those looks a whole lot and try to be creative that way because you don't have that advantage that you had with that one player there. So, so there's a lot of fans really upset about anything that looks like a zone coming from Todd Bowles. But he has to play that because you playing hurry-up offenses like the Rams did. Like New Orleans, about that job, you will do whatever you need to do to get that one thing accomplished. If that means not doing what the guy above you or next to you says that you need to do every single time, then you need to do that. You need to do that. You need to do whatever it takes to make something happen. You need to make some noise, ruffle some feathers if need be. You need to reject whatever is being told to you that will get in the way of accomplishing that one job that you have to do. Unless your one job is to make this one thing or one person happy, which is to the detriment of the team. And that also, again, that goes to Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians and this game plan, this offense is coming up short. It came up short last season, and I spoke on it last season. At the bye week 6, I wrote about it. It felt like a lateral move from the previous head coach, only the expectation was so much higher, and he's failing. And it's not just on losses, fellow Bucs fans. If you're listening and paying attention, it's not just on the losses. I've brought this stuff up on the wins as well. Because how many times have we seen this defense of ours bail out the offense? And then it gets hidden behind complimentary football. That's not complimentary football, y'all. It's not. The one thing that this team has going for itself, the one thing on this team that you can almost put your hat on, even if it's frustrating, the one thing you can rest your hat on is the defense is going to show up at some point and going to look like a dominant unit at some point. Earlier in the season, it started out at the beginning of games and it went through the entire 4 quarters. For most of the first 5-6 games until Vita Vea got hurt. Things kind of changed a little bit. But again, I don't want to go too far away from Arians real quick. One thing we wanted to touch on from Arians and his questionable acts as a head coach and also as the architect of this offense, just talking about some of the things that he brought up in the press conference that came up after the game. Before we came on the podcast, generally, I try not to comment a whole lot on what Bruce Arians says in the press conference immediately after the game. I learned to stop doing that because he always backtracks, and I try not to judge him unfairly on him speaking so emotionally, seemingly after games. That's me trying to throw him a bone and not trying to be an a-hole myself. I don't think it's fair. I almost don't think it's fair to talk about or to comment too much on some of the players after a loss because they're so emotional. But then again, I'm thinking about it, well, damn, you're a head coach. You're supposed to be able to handle yourself before, during, and after a game, no matter what the result is. I can't do that with Bruce Arians. I can't. Because he'll just say whatever the hell he wants to say and spin that shit 2, 3, 4 times backwards 12 hours later when they talk to him again. It's crazy. Someone asked him today. Someone asked him about somebody asked him about the game plan and injecting new faces and all this continuity stuff that was going on with the team now, and if it took a toll on what the offense was being able to do.
Tackles when the ball got in their zone, they just wasn't finishing the tackle, and that's why they was able to break out for those yards. So it wasn't nothing wrong. Like and like I say, if for the people that's yelling, "Oh, we should have been playing man," you know, if that was the case, Cooper Kupp would have had 200 yards. Robert Woods would have had 200 yards. It'd been a lot worse. And
a couple more touchdowns to go along with it because they've been well past guys.
Right. So when you look at it, man, a lot of it that was just bad tackling. You know, the misfortune of those folks not making the tackles. You know, especially with SMB, he was missing a lot of tackles. You know, he was getting caught on those zones. But you know, I'm fine with the 145 and the 130. You know, from Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, respectively, because it was only one touchdown out of the both of them. Robert Woods was the only one that scored. So let's not negate the fact that the Rams can't move the ball. They can move the ball. They will move the ball. Like that's a given. So I'm cool with it because if you look at it, okay, Cooper Kupp had 145, Robert Woods had 130, but they didn't run the ball. So even if you take one of those receivers and drop his yards down in half and get it to one of the running backs, then what? You know what I mean? So just because they had those two receivers for over 100 some odd yards don't necessarily mean that it was trouble. They just couldn't run the ball. So like I was saying earlier, they just kind of did extended run plays. Okay, we can't really run the ball, so we're gonna throw these quick short plays to a Cooper Kupp or a Robert Woods, bubble screens, and they turned them into big games.
Yeah. Because
of broken tackles. It's the same as a run that got broke, for a large game because they were essentially passes either close to the line of scrimmage or behind. So it's the same thing.
Right. And
just that's broken tackles.
Exactly. And that's in between those two guys, man, they had 28 damn targets.
Yeah.
28 damn targets and 23 catches. So yeah, and again, the yards look terrible. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods put up big numbers, but then it just didn't mean anything to me. It just didn't mean anything to me because they didn't kill us. They didn't. I mean, they weren't running free. They weren't doing a whole lot of they weren't doing a whole lot of damage. They was eating up yards, obviously, because that it's yards. It's. I mean, that means something absolutely, but it don't mean anything to me because it didn't reflect on the damn scoreboard. It just didn't. And something that Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans should know, as well as any other fan base, yards ain't points. Yards ain't points. We had an offense. We had an offense that, according to yards, was a damn near number one offense in the league last year, if I ain't mistaken. At some point,
right?
Yards weren't worth a damn. Yards ain't worth a damn.
And if you flip it, we only had 200 some odd yards of offense, but we only lost by 3. And they had close to 400 some yards of offense. So if you look at it, if you take away the interception they scored off of, we win that game.
2 interceptions.
You know what I mean? If they two interceptions, they scored off 1. They scored. They caught an interception and they caught a short field that was on like our 40,
30,
and they scored off that.
Yep.
Yeah, so they scored off that. So even if they catch the interception, don't score, they kick a field goal, whether they miss it or hit it, the game is a lot closer than it is. They kick the field goal at the end to get 27 at the end of the game. So even with all of that, the game was still neck and neck, regardless of the inability of the offense to produce in the second half, really the third quarter, because we didn't do anything in the third quarter. Right. So when you look at it, like, it was still a game that went down to the wire. It's just between continuity and or confidence, and or is this working and it's not working, and just figure out what works and what don't. It confuses me, bro. Like I said, it's just a guy that just deflecting accountability, and he goes on them podiums, and he barely can even look people in the eye and give straight answers. It's just it's this, it's that, man. You know, like we need a better answer than that, man.
Right, and to be fair. Again, this is me. I try my best to be as objective and try not to be an a-hole as much as I can. But to be fair, again, it's almost like, well, what do you expect him to say? Say anything other than the bullshit you've been saying. Say anything say anything that gives yourself some credibility, that builds you into being a leader more so than being a bystander. I should not have to listen to my head coach. I'm sorry, I should not have to listen to the head coach of my team, my favorite team, get up and sound like a goddamn podcaster. He shouldn't get up there and sound like he just watched film for the first time too, like he just got hold of all 22 and he just broke down the stuff for himself. Like, well, what I saw was, man, you're responsible for all of this stuff that you just saw. Like, you're supposed to have something. You're supposed to have something to give the fans to explain, or the reporters who asking these questions to explain exactly what's happening. And if you don't want to answer some of these questions that they say, man, just pass the question on. But don't go saying some of this silly stuff and trying to sell these and basically talks like he's a commentator. He's talking like he's trying to fulfill that job that was it CBS that hired him to be a commentator or an analyst a couple years ago, and he wasn't worth a damn in it. He talks like he's still trying to do that job.
Facts.
Like, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And while I'm saying I absolutely hate it, here you go once again. If anybody has ever watched or listened to this podcast and listened to me speak on Bruce Arians, I personally do not dislike Bruce Arians, not as a person. I don't know him, never met him. He does great things in the community. He has a great charity. And they got a damn thing with him being the head coach and being the face of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what he puts on that field and what he's been putting on the field since last season. I don't give a damn how good of a person he is. I'm not talking about his personality as a person off the field. I'm speaking about Bruce Arians as a head coach and his lack of foresight, his lack of being able to come up with an actual game plan to make a team actually play the Buccaneers not as a generic fucking unit, man. Every damn Sunday, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go out there and they look exactly like the same nothingness on offense. And I'm specifically talking about the offense because the defense makes adjustments every game, win or lose. No matter how much people want to hate it or not understand it, the defense actually makes adjustments. Tampa Bay Buccaneers go out and they seemingly just run whatever's on a damn play script from whenever, back in April maybe, and it's not specific to the opposition. Nothing.
You know, the fun thing is, I think the defense make adjustments more about our own offense than who the team they playing. Because the offense playing shitty, they can't really play how they really want to play because they can't afford to put the offense in any worse position than what they are already based on their lack of productivity. You know what I mean? So, say for instance, if the offense come to play,
what end up doing, you have to play zone to make sure that the Bucs ain't getting run on for 30, 40 yards down the field every other snap.
And that's the thing. Like I know, like I ain't mean to cut you off, but that's the thing. Like we'll kind of talk about, before we got on. It's just like everybody, clamoring, getting about this zone issue, and I don't understand where people is coming from with this. And you just made the perfect point. Like it's like I don't understand. Like unless y'all want to get scored on, a lot more than we do. Unless y'all want big 70-yard passes and a guy catch a ball and break free for 80 yards, 70 yards, whatever the case is, it's not practical to run man where everybody's yelling, oh, run press man. It's not that simple. It's really not that simple. Not based on the defense we get. It's really not that simple.
Nah.
And
I tell you what, man, I mentioned this at one point today. I was like, I swear to goodness, cats really be making all that noise talking about zone defense. I swear to you, 90% of them hate to see a zone just because it don't work in fucking Madden. That's why they hate to see zone. Like they don't know what the hell they talking about. They don't know what the hell they looking at. They just hate to see a player let another player catch the ball. Now I hate to see the defense, 10 yards off the line too. Like I hate it. It makes me nervous. It messes me up. But then again, when you ain't getting no pressure on the quarterback, I'm like, I would rather see that wide receiver 10 yards in front of my defender than 10 yards
behind.
10 yards behind his ass, headed to the house. You want the defender looking at the receiver from the front or from the back, because that's how that shit gonna go. And Jamel Dean is a solid player. Sean Murphy-Bunting been having an up and down season. A lot of it's been down, and I've been on him. But those guys ain't locked down corners. They're not as good as Carlton Davis. They're not.
Nah.
They're not. All these guys are good in their own right, and we've seen Jamel Dean have damn good performances and put on some good. But a lot of that stuff, man, that has to do with getting pressure up front.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key to everything.
And we didn't see that against the Rams, so we had to go in the zone. Todd Bowles did what he had to do to make that work, and it worked. How do I know it worked? Yeah. Because the damn Rams didn't have, I think they had 2-3 drives that went more than 50 yards, and then they scored off of our interception, which was like a 30-yard drive or something like that. So it was basically 17 yards that they got off all those, 17 points that they got off all those damn yards that Cooper Kupp and old boy ended up getting, which, amazing, 240-some yards, or 200, I think it was 247 yards between Cooper Kupp and old boy.
No, it was 275 yards.
275, okay.
Robert Woods. Robert Woods, Robert Woods had 12 for 130. Cooper Kupp had 11 for 145.
And that didn't mean a damn thing to me because it kept them out of the end zone for most of the game. Robert Woods had 1 touchdown, and for the most part, the defense did what they needed to do to keep those guys from running crazy for real. Like we all hated seeing missed tackles. Like that shit was bad to see missed tackles. Ain't nobody happy with seeing that.
And that was the thing. It wasn't necessarily about, okay, we run his zone and they just racking up yards. A lot of those yards came from run after catch because of missed tackles. It wasn't because the player wasn't there or that the zone, it was the wrong zone play or the zone was bad. Like, no, it was just players not making
3 games in New Orleans as well as against the Rams that he's looked this way. In New Orleans, he had 50. It was a 58%. He was at 58%, so it was a little bit better. Well, it was actually a lot better. 58% completion, 22 out of 38. But again, his stat line: 26 of 48, 54%, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I don't care how the hell you slice it, you lose a game throwing 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. You don't deserve any credit for how well a team played, even if it was a win. 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, man, Okay, I apologize. There has to be some context behind that. You throw 2 interceptions in the first half and you come back and throw 2 major touchdowns in the second half, that's a different thing. But 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions against the Rams, Tom Brady looked as bad as some of the bad performances from the previous quarterback. Does that mean people need to condemn him? No. But ain't nobody going to praise him. Nobody's going to blame the 52 other players on the roster for Tom Brady. It's not fair. It's not fair to other players. And again, I want to be real clear. Tom Brady hasn't asked for anybody's excuses. He hasn't come up and just talked crazy like, yeah, well, I just got to be better. I just got to do better. I just don't know. I don't get it. Such and such. To his credit, like a good professional, he hasn't done a whole lot of that. So he still gets the benefit of the doubt. But against the Rams, in a game in which absolutely needed to play well, he did not. Same thing again. He did the same thing again in New Orleans. I'm sorry, against New Orleans. Needed to play well, absolutely did not. Played one of his worst games. And we can't get comfortable like that as Buccaneers fans. I don't care what the history says. We can't be comfortable with Tom Brady, our most trusted player who's supposed to be one of the best players or the best player on the roster. He can't get away with playing bad football and we just dismiss it because it's Tom Brady. That's bullshit, fellow Bucs fans. I don't care if you've been here since 76 or like a lot of you just joined in March of 2020. That's some bullshit. And he deserves the respect that comes with his success and so forth. But y'all got to start looking at some of these narratives. Again, the same thing I talked to the Play Action about a couple of weeks ago. Look at some of these damn narratives. You can't sit up here and tell me Tom Brady needs to have a perfect pocket every time. He needs to have perfect routes every time. He needs to have perfect scenarios for everything every time. Otherwise, he crumbles. What the hell is he here for? What's the point of having somebody with all that damn experience if he can't check out of plays that's gotten called, if he can't make a read to make the right call on the field? By the way, the head coach said that Tom Brady actually does pick his own plays, or he does have leniency to pick his own plays on the sideline, whether that's true or not. I mean, again, it's Bruce Arians. He'll spin doctor. He'll sell you anything you want to hear. And then he'll moonwalk out of that shit the next day.
Right.
But if Tom Brady has all this experience, Tom Brady has all this knowledge, Tom Brady has all this leniency, all this power, but he's still doing whatever the system told him to do, whatever that read is, from deep to shallow, like a lot of people have been sold on. If he got all this power and he doing all that shit because it's the system.
Of course, everybody saying, they're getting ate up. Man, they going to move the ball. But as far as the defense keeping them out of the end zone, they did their job. The offense didn't pull their weight.
They did their job. And again, that's one of the unfair commentaries when it comes to the defense. The defense always gets judged on by what the offense does. If the defense can somehow stand on their own like the offense generally does, where if the Bucs scored 30 points and the defense basically had given them 3 or 4 turnovers that gave them short fields, nobody mentions, or people hardly ever mention, the defense and what they did. It was a high-powered offense. No, that ain't what it is, man. I mean, context matters, and context kills narratives. Context killed narratives, and I've been saying it for a long damn time, man. And one of the bigger narratives, too, that's got to come to a head, y'all, fellow Buccaneers fans, and some of y'all may need to sit down for this or maybe pull off on the side of the road if you're listening while you're driving. One of these narratives, one of the biggest narratives, got to die much sooner than later, and it involves our quarterback. I mentioned it on the last podcast with the Play Reaction. This narrative that our quarterback is untouchable, can't be criticized, can't be looked at, or he can't be treated less than being put up on a pedestal. That shit has to end. ASAP.
Nah, he's not above. He's not above reproach. I don't give a damn what he did in New England. I don't care how many rings he got. He ain't did it in Tampa Bay. So, as far as I'm concerned, he deserves any criticism that comes his way. This game, he didn't play good. This game, he looked like a rookie. He looked like the second coming of Jameis Winston on a bad night. You know what I mean? It was throws that was going on that I don't know what the hell he was looking at. Like, when two interceptions, it could have been three, all to the same person, the high safety.
Yeah.
And you telling me he couldn't see him? He throwing deep balls that the high safety just running towards the spot and getting overthrows. Now, it's not like a high safety beating the receiver to the spot like it's a jump ball and he just, just basically, mousing the receiver and getting the ball himself. These are overthrows. He's just catching up and basically reading Brady's eyes and going for it, and the ball is hitting him right in the hand. And it's to the point where the receiver doesn't even have a chance to jump for the ball because the ball's so far ahead. So I don't know what Tom Brady was doing out there. To me, it looked like he was throwing the game down there. Like he got prop bets going on, and he's making sure he get his money.
Hey, Bovado.
That's how it look.
Bovado.lv. Bovado got something on him or something, man. But for anybody who, you're a Bucs fan, so you probably watched the game. You definitely had to watch the game. This is what his stat line looked like. Tom Brady, the greatest of all time quarterback, and I'm going to be real specific. Anytime somebody says greatest of all time quarterback, and I might just throw in quarterback of his era, Tom Brady, our quarterback, who we love, 26 of 48. That's 54%, y'all. The last time we had a quarterback that came in here throwing 55%, anything other than 60%, I was on his ass. Same thing going on with Tom Brady. I don't care what he did before. I don't care about the last game. But this is 2 times out of the last.
It was the flame.
It was crazy. Like somebody mentioned it, man. This guy, I'll say his name. I think I remember it. This cat, Des King, who is a fellow Bucs fan on Facebook. And he brought the same thing up. He's like, tell me y'all didn't get a flashback of last season or the last few seasons when you saw that ball go up. I'm like, yo, You ain't lying. You ain't lying. One of those WTF. How the hell did that even cross your mind past? To top off a bad night. To just top off a bad night. And again, it was super deflating to watch him, like any other player, go through the loss and then try to come back and speak at a press conference. And he looked like he looked homeless. He looked like the brawny paper towel dude with the plaid shirt on, but it was all brown. He was all sad, man. Yeah, exactly. So he was all sad and so forth. And I think it was Jenna Lane of ESPN. She asked, like, what was the thought process? Like, what were you thinking? Or why was the defense so good with shutting you down and making you look so bad tonight? And again, this is his answer from the press conference immediately after the game on how and why the Rams defense made him look so bad. It's always funny for me to watch. It's so funny for me to watch him at his press conferences, man, because he's so visibly annoyed or visibly hurt when somebody asks him something he don't want to answer. And this one cracked me up, but this is his response to why the Rams defense made him look so bad on Monday Night Football.
They did a good job preventing them. They kind of play a defense that, makes it tough to hit them. They're not impossible to hit, but they're tight. And the guys did a good job running them. We had a couple shots, but in the end, didn't come up with any.
Didn't come up with any. No deep passes connected against the Rams. They did pull a defensive pass interference with Scotty Miller on one of his few snaps of the game. So sad, Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller got set down like he got set down like he actually dropped a pass, like he Ronald Jones.
Right. Right.
Man, so sad. But yeah, he got set down. But that was it, man. That one long pass that got a defensive pass interference. That's as close. That's just as close as Brady got to connecting on a long pass. And it is, again, the decision making, man. I don't just on throughout the game, not those big highlights and big misses. It was just early. It felt like he was forcing it to Antonio Brown. Thank goodness Antonio Brown actually caught some of those passes. I know one pass he squeezed in the window that should not have been. When I saw it, I'm like, yo, that's an interception. Not the one that hit his fingers from the deep ball, but he threw one between the linebacker and the cornerback, and I was like, yo, that looks great.
I know what you're talking about. When he kind of scooped it, it was real low, and he still scooped it, and he cut through two defenders.
Yeah,
I thought it was a pick at first, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, but even then, like, what the hell are you thinking? But
Yeah. Tom Brady, man. We obviously as Bucs fans, no matter how you look at it, no matter how, when you came along, whatever. I mean, he's a quarterback of the team. I would hope nobody
at the very least go up and kick a field goal. Ryan Succop has been everything and more of what we asked him to be this season from our previous kicker role. So I have full confidence that Ryan Succop can make a game time field goal if need be, if we put him in the right position. So it's exactly what you're saying. What's being said on the sideline, what's been agreed on the sideline, what is the mindset in the huddle, what's the conversations going on to say, okay, guys, we just need to get up and get the field goal. Let's at least get up and get position on the field goal. So it's I don't know, man, because like I say, even with the stat line, if you just look at, the 26 or 48, 216, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception at that time, he still had a very, very, very good chance to win that ball game, even with a dismal stat line as is.
Uh-huh.
So at that point, the defense gave you the ball back twice. Jared Goff has made his young quarterback mistakes. Like, they basically, if the Rams lost this game, it would have been more the Rams losing it than us winning it. So, Tom Brady, you have this opportunity smack dab in your hands. There was a time for you to say, okay, this is where my 20-year experience kick in. Hey, guys, we're going to take 10 yards at a time. We're going to get up. If we got a chance to go for the touchdown, we'll take it. But if not, they just move methodically up the field. They just get in position to get the time. Let's take it to overtime. It just, what I don't know what was going through his head. I don't know throughout the whole game. The deep ball hasn't been there all game. From besides the drop pass on Antonio Brown that hit his fingertips, but for majority of the time, the deep ball hasn't been there. An interception and almost another interception have showed you that. So it was no need to throw deep balls. No. Cam Brate isn't the tight end to kind of throw up the seam anyway. It wasn't. I don't know. It's like I say, that was one of those situations where I was sitting on the couch like, huh? Like, it's just one of those situations where he was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm ready to go home. Here you go. I'm ready to go. Here y'all go, and let's fuck it, because that's what it looked like. Hey. That's what it felt like.
Hey, he got that page from the Buffalo Wild Wings. He was like, "Hey, shut this bitch down. We got."
Just wait. What he went on the sideline. Giselle sent him a nude text or something like, "Baby, come home."
Hey.
He was like, "You know what? I ain't got time for overtime. Fuck this overtime. If he don't catch this pass, I'm done."
For real.
And that's how this felt, man. So, like I say, man, it is. I don't know what was going on the sideline. Throughout the whole game, he should have known that the deep balls, anything deep wasn't there. The Rams were playing two safeties over the top the whole game, so they was taking away any deep balls you can get. And all throughout the game, we wasn't getting anything deep. We was getting all the methodical, 5 to 7 yard intermediate passes. And if you get it to AB early enough, he can make something out of it. Surprisingly, Mike Evans was getting short passes and getting yak and fighting and getting touchdowns. I never seen Mike Evans do that. Mike Evans usually getting, throwing up 50-50 balls for touchdowns, deep balls for touchdowns. Mike Evans was playing like the beast in itself.
He was fired up, man.
All this was right. So all this short stuff was going on. All these short things was working. They was giving you even in this situation, they wasn't even trying to give you no deep ball. If I'm the defensive coordinator, I'm making sure you don't get the deep ball in that situation of the game. I give you the 5-7 yards underneath. Like you say, we playing zone. I give you the 5-7 yards underneath, so you don't get the deep ball over my head and blow the top of my defense and win it this late. So I don't understand what drove him to make that throw, man. And
then y'all got to brace y'all goddamn self and just go ahead and embrace the fact that maybe he is a system quarterback. For better or worse.
He just may be.
And again, I'm not knocking Tom Brady whatsoever if he's a system quarterback, because some people think that's a dirty word, like game manager. You ain't worth a damn as a quarterback if you ain't a game manager.
Right.
That's the first step to being a good quarterback, is being a game manager, learning how to manage the damn game and keep yourself composed and play the game as the game and not as an emotional roller coaster the way that some folks got used to. But Tom Brady in these past three games, 2 of them, he ain't look worth a damn as a game manager. And people now want to blame it on the system. What the hell is that?
I don't know, man. I think a lot of people just clamoring, to point the finger. And don't get me wrong, it's enough blame to go around. But
yeah, absolutely.
Just to keep things, it's enough blame to go around. But for me, just to kind of keep things, and keep things kind of concentrated on just the game itself from last night, I definitely feel like Tom Brady made things, well, as far as his decision making, as far as the reads he saw, especially with those interceptions, man. Like, if the play calling was what it was, the play calling wasn't up to spec, let it be that. But you overthrowing interceptions, and 2, they could have been 3, especially with the one to seal the game in the end. Play calling or not, that came down to the decision making of the quarterback who had the ball in his hands. When you go back and look at that play, and you had at least 2 other guys you could have dumped the ball off to, and in that situation, the first down is 10 yards, not 25 yards. You had no reason to go deep, make a chunk play at that time. You had plenty of time with a timeout in your back pocket. You still could have chipped away, and you got Mike Evans open on a little cutback dig. You got Leonard Fournette that just broke out of the backfield on a quick little option route. You could have went at least 2 different ways on that ball. You didn't have any pressure, the need to get the ball away that quick, and even if it was, why throw it up that deep? So, it like I say, it's enough blame to go around. But if I just kind of keep things, in perspective of what's going on, and when you look at his stat line, and based on what I saw in the game, nah, man, like Tom Brady, he played piss poor, and the decision making was a huge factor.
Terrible game. And this is Tom Brady from his post-game press conference or Zoom conference. This is him on the explanation on how on that last pass that became an interception to Cameron Brate.
Popped it over Cam's head, so just a bad read, bad throw, decision, everything. Can't happen.
And again, that's a professional speaker, man. He was heartbroken. He knew he had basically, lost the game for his team. I mean, that's just an emotional moment for him. But, he knew it at the end, like, hey, damn, I can't make that throw at the end. But where's all that during the game? Like, what was being said between the snaps, in the huddle, on the sideline? What was being said to say, hey, if you don't have it, throw it away? That kind of go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, or if you don't have it, throw it away, or don't, like you say, don't go for the deep to shadow look. Look from the shadow to deep look. It's the 2-minute drill. We just need.
It's out there trying to wish him any ill will as a Bucs fan. Nah. If you actually a Bucs fan, I mean, you see a whole lot of that foolishness on social media and so forth. So I mean, that's a thing that happens. A lot of fans just kind of lose it. In this case, again, like we were saying from the top, you got a lot of fans who, no matter what, everything is everybody else's fault except for the quarterback or except their very, very favorite player. This This time it happens to be Tom Brady. We saw this for the past 5 years. If you've been around from, like I said, past March of this year, you saw it the previous few years where quarterback envy, face of the franchise. People just want to, pile on them and either good or bad, just give them way too much praise or give them way too much blame. But this is one of those performances you absolutely cannot defend. You cannot defend the performance of Tom Brady from in that Rams game. You just can't.
No, not at all. I mean, it's hard to even see. Like, even when I just kind of go back and look at the game and remember the game, it's kind of hard to, remember anything that went good. Like, as far as him, just like, okay, yeah, that's what we got Tom Brady for. It feel like he just let you down, and he let you down in pivotal drives. Drives that either went 3 and out, or drives, or like the drive that came up in the interception, or the last drive, or just the inability to move the ball. I think it was just the whole performance of Tom Brady was a letdown. For the main part.
Yeah.
I think Jared Goff just outplayed him.
He did, and that's strange as hell. That's strange as hell to say.
Right, it's sad to say, man. Jared Goff outplayed him, and it's even, and like I said, even this morning when I wake up to some of the national pundit headlines, that it was to the point that Jared Goff played him that he ain't feel the need to go out and shake the man's hand after the game.
Now
he just went straight to the locker room.
Hey, I'm gonna say this. I sound like Pimp C, but I'm gonna say this right here. For years, cats were talking about Gerald McCoy, one of my favorite players in Bucs history. I hated that he went to another team, especially in the division. However, for years, people talked about him smiling and shaking hands and so forth and being friendly. I tell you this damn what. Had Tom Brady took his mock ass out there in that middle of the damn field and shook Jared Goff's hand after throwing a goddamn interception to lose the Bucs a game, smiling and carrying on, man, I done walked my black ass all the way from Inman Park in Atlanta, Georgia. I would have walked all the way to fucking Tampa, Florida, all the way to Raymond James Stadium and whooped his monkey ass. I bet not see Tom Brady smiling and carrying on after throwing a game-losing interception. What the hell he need to be What the hell he need to be out there shaking hands for? For what? What? I don't care about him ever shaking another person's hand after the game, especially after a terrible performance that just lost the game for us. Let's say, okay, let's put some perspective on this. Let's say the Rams were the team to go down and make a game-winning drive. Let's say it was Jared Goff who took his team, 50, 60, 70 yards down the field, and they won the game off of a game-winning field goal or whatever. I would expect to see Tom Brady go out to the middle of the field and shake his hand. That's a hell of a performance by a quarterback. That's him being a good sportsman for somebody who just put on an amazing performance, no matter what happened before that drive, to come out and help his team win. That's good sportsmanship. But for my quarterback to throw a game-losing interception, for him to walk out in the middle of, if he didn't take his ass to that locker room, shit. I better not see him smiling. Not once. The camera better pan off of him. Turn the TV off. Serious business, man. Serious. They've been making a big deal about that since Nick Foles and so forth. But when you play that bad, you better not go out and shake nobody's hand if you unless they just put on an amazing performance to win the game themselves.
Yeah, like I said, they got to have something to talk about, something to nitpick about, man. But me personally, I really don't put that much stock in it. I say if it was if the shoe was on the other foot, maybe Jared Goff would have still came out and shook his hand. It's a form of sportsmanship. But at the end of the day, who gives a fuck? Who cares? Like, who cares? Like, okay, he didn't shake his hand. Obviously, he wasn't too happy about the results. If anybody plays sports, when you lose in this type of fashion, are you looking to go shake somebody's hand? No.
No.
You know what I mean? And he's human. Like I said, he's human. He probably hates the fact that he threw the game away like that. So he just ready to get in the locker room and go face the music. He probably got to go walk in that locker room amongst his teammates, amongst other men, and he knows 50 other guys gonna look at him like, damn, bro, you blew it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You blew it. So I don't want to, and he wasn't the only person that didn't go in the field and shake hands. So it's no big deal. So me personally, I feel like they gotta have something to nitpick on. He's Tom Brady, so Tom Brady gotta be this role model, this model athlete. But they human too, man. What I mean? They got emotions, they got feelings, they get happy, they get sad. Michael Jordan done did it, LeBron James done did it. Any perennial athlete, Hall of Fame athlete, goldish athlete, go-ish athlete, whatever you want to call it in the sport, have lost games in a fashion as such. And I would say displayed unsavory sportsmanship in regards to shaking the other team's hand, but it's not the end of the world, man. With nowadays, you don't know if he just got back in the locker room, calm down, and send Jerry off a text. But hey, man, good game. I'll catch you next time. You don't even know he did that. So
Exactly. And again, I mean, when you're talking about players with that high level of competition and that level of being an alpha, the way some people say alpha, I don't know why we say that, but when you got that much of a competitive level within you, you better take losing personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you better take your performance personally.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, again, it's just talking heads and it's crazy. However, again, you and I, Bucs fans, we love Tom Brady. We love Tom Brady because he's a part of our team. We'll back Tom Brady when he's playing well. The same way we'll back our defense when they're playing well. In the exact same way we'll back Bruce Arians if he ever starts coaching well. We call it like we call it like we see it, and we call it in the moment for the most part, and try not to be too judgmental or condemning some of these players and these coaches. It's criticism. It's not condemning, and that should be allowed.
Yeah,
and that should be allowed. So absolutely love what Tom Brady can do. Very disappointed that it didn't come through on Monday Night Football. We got 5 more games, man. We got 5 more games. Thank you for sticking around. I'm Robert Green. That's Big Slim. Check him out on Facebook. You can find him out you can check him out on Real Bucks Talk. He's always active in that forum, as well as the Buckaholics and Tampa Bay Bucks fans as well. Am I correct?
Yep. I'm all through the Bucks group. You can catch me in all those. Like I said, on Facebook, you can just find me, BIGGSLIM, Big Slim. Just shoot me a DM or something, man. We can talk about Buccaneers football.
Indeed. Once again, I thank you very much, fellow Bucks fans. I'm Robert Green. That's Big Slim. You're welcome. And we got a tough one coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, man. And like I say, it's not over. The wall's not closing. We're 7-4. I mean, we still very much in the playoff race. Even if things doesn't go as well this game, we're still in the playoff race. It's like I say, it's more of an expectation and getting disappointed as opposed to, oh shit, like we really a bad team. Nah, man, we're still good. We're still cruising. We're much better off than we were last year or the previous years. And we still have a very much alive chance to still make it to the playoffs and still win out. We can the Chiefs ain't unbeatable. You know what I mean? Like it's not like the Chiefs. You got the Steelers 10-0. You got the Chiefs 9-1. Those teams ain't unbeatable. I just look at it; they ain't played us yet. You know what I mean? So
right.
Who knows? And
we beat the team that beat the Chiefs. So
right, convincingly. So
yeah,
we beat the shit out the Raiders. And from, like I say, even when you go back and look at that game, I don't know how much time you got, but even if you go back and look at that game, like, we can beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense is porous as they are, and if our offense comes out and show up, I think it's going to be a shootout. I think that's a game they got to go at least 35 apiece for it to be even a game, because if the Chiefs going to come out and score their points, who knows? The defense might hold them. Mahomes may not be, Hall of Fame great that game. Who knows? You never know. It's any given Sunday. But it's a winnable game. I'm not throwing the towel in like that. I'm not just automatically chalking that game up as a loss, but they beatable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see nobody on their defense that can hold who all we have if we come out and play. And given the history of how we lose this season, once we lose, we come out and kick the shit out the next team. Chiefs better watch out.
And serious business on that note, to this point, y'all, Tampa Bay Buccaneers have not lost back-to-back games this season. And that's the longest that we can say that, going back, I believe, to 2007, I believe it is. This is the farthest we've gotten without losing back-to-back games. So, yeah, good things can happen. The Chiefs are beatable. It can happen. We beat the team that beat the Chiefs. They got a lot of weapons. We got a lot of weapons. The only damn thing, and again, this comes full circle. The only damn thing that can stop the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that I've yet to see on a continuous good, even as consecutive back-to-back games, is our offensive game planning and what the coaches do. That's literally the only damn thing that I have a question about when it comes to matching up against the Kansas City Chiefs coming up on Sunday. I believe that's a 4:00 kickoff. It's basically come down to offensive strategies, and if there's actual game plan, that's it. The Bucs are definitely going to miss having Vita Vea once again in the middle of that defensive line because that little running back loves going up the middle. That little son bitch. Edward Hilaire's a little powerful little bastard. He loved going up the middle, man. And we gonna we're gonna miss Vea. We're gonna miss Vea there, but we've missed him since he's been gone. But yeah, they are definitely beatable, man. That's gonna be a hell of a game. We're gonna sign off for the moment, man. But I want to thank you, fellow Bucs fans, for joining in. Thank you for sticking around. I'm Robert Green. That's Big Slim. Check him out on Facebook. You can find him you can check him out on Real Bucs Talk. He's always active in that forum, as well as the Buckaholics and Tampa Bay Bucs fans as well. Am I correct?
Yep. I'm all through the Bucs group. You can catch me in all those. Like I said, on Facebook, you can just find me, BIGGSLIM, Big Slim. Just shoot me a DM or something, man. We can talk about Buccaneers football.
Indeed. Once again, I thank you very much, fellow Bucs fans. I'm Robert Green. That's Big Slim.